What's up everyone, it's your favorite 3D printing enthusiast, and today I'll be going over my long-term experience with the Bambu Lab 3D printers after 6,000 combined printing hours on 6 different machines, which is quite a lot if you ask me. Now, if you're wondering why the hell would I need so many, I run a small 3D printing business. I got my first Bambu printer, the X1 Carbon, with the AMS back in January 2023, and I've been using them ever since and replaced my old Ender 3s with them because goddamn those were bad. So yeah, now in this video I'll be mainly going over the reliability both for the printers as well as the AMS, and I hope you enjoy. Strap in and let's just get right into it. Now let's first of all talk about reliability. Probably the most important thing about any 3D printer. Both the X1 as well as the P1, they just work extremely well. My X1 Carbon alone has nearly 3,500 hours and nothing that's important for printing ever broke. Now, to say nothing ever broke would be wrong because the chamber camera for some reason eventually just started to get really purple. I still have no idea why it did that, but that was fixed completely for free by Bambu Lab. They just sent me over a completely new one once I contacted their support, so that's a big thumbs up. And besides that, nothing ever broke. And I have experience with a total of 5 P1s, and besides one chamber fan on one of them getting really loud, not completely broken by the way, just getting just sounding really bad, they all worked and still work completely fine. So when it comes to reliability, I'd say they're at least pretty damn good. Now, the same thing cannot be said for the AMS. The AMS is a great system, but it's not as reliable, and on mine, 2 of the 4 feeders completely broke. One of them just one day decided to say fuck you and just doesn't accept filament anymore. I have no idea why. It just shows me a orange blinking light and that's pretty much it. And the second one just grinds on the filament but doesn't pull it down anymore. I'm sure that's pretty easy to fix, but that's my experience with the AMS. It also does not like light filament rolls. So if you've got a really used up spool with like 100 to 200 grams of filament, it really likes to just push itself up against the lid of the AMS and essentially just jams up, and that happens quite a lot. And you can use a weight to push it down. I've seen a lot of people doing that, and I guess that's a pretty decent fix. But if you print quite a lot of things and go through quite a lot of spools really quickly, you might not think about that, and then you just end up with a jam, and I think that's kind of annoying. So maybe there's a way to fix that in the future, but we'll see. Now let's talk about print quality and some of the peculiar things with these printers. If you've been in the 3D printing community for any amount of time, you will definitely have heard the saying slower is better, meaning just the slower you print, the better your prints you usually get. That does not apply to Bambu printers at all, at least to the X1 and P1. These printers need to print quick. The faster you print, the less ringing or VFA or whatever you want to call it you will see in your prints. Now, you might say that's pretty awesome, and yeah, technically it is, but if you print PETG or TPU or any filament that needs you to go slow, that will be an issue because you will get some really bad ringing and it just doesn't look good at all. And for me that's not an issue because I never print in PGG. Like 99% of my prints, or maybe even 99.9% of my prints, are printed in PLA, so it's not an issue for me. But if you need to print slow, this might be something you should consider. Something else that you should know about the print quality is the x-axis actually rings a lot more than the y-axis. This has probably something to do with the belts being used much more when the tool head drives like this, and just keep that in mind when positioning your prints. You will get a much cleaner surface on the y-axis instead of the x-axis. Also try avoiding to position your prints in a 45-degree angle because that will just increase the ringing on all sides. Now let's talk about build quality. The X1 as well as the P1 are mostly made out of metal, injection molded plastic and tempered glass. There aren't any 3D printed parts anywhere on the printer, compared to, let's say, a Prusa, which is not bad at all, by the way. I think it's actually pretty cool and got some character to it, but I do like the injection molding. The tolerances on these machines are also pretty good. There's nothing really that wobbles or anything. The tool head is pretty sturdy. Of course, it does have some give to it if you really want to move it, but that's supposed to be that way. But other than that, it seems pretty solid all around. Now, something that's been criticized in the past were the carbon rods. A lot of people, especially when these came out, thought that, you know, these wear over time and therefore they might break after, let's say, maybe like 10,000 hours of use. But something that I've found is they actually wear a lot at the beginning, but once they've been used for a while, they wear less and less. So it seems like they have an initial wear-in period, and after that they just don't really seem to wear that much at all anymore. They still have some residue that comes off, but it's a lot less than compared to the first week when you get it brand new. Something that bugs me about the design of the printer is two things. First of all, the poop chute works pretty well, but it's not perfect. I've had a ton of times where the poop still ended up on the bed and the AI detection actually thought it was spaghetti and then paused the print, and then that print was paused for like several hours. That can be pretty annoying, but that doesn't happen too much. And then we've got the lead screws, and oh god, the two lead screws in the front are not an issue at all, but the one in the back, god damn, I hate that thing so much. Cleaning that thing is one of the worst experiences with these printers. The good thing is you can just remove the back panel, but that requires you to take out a couple dozens of screws, and also the back panel has these weird latches that like grip into the printer, so removing that back panel is even more of a headache than just removing all these screws. And also just cleaning the lead screws in general is not fun at all. Now, if you're using a P1P, you will have a much easier time, and that's because the enclosure is actually the reason why so much gunk and dust particles are caught in the lead screws. If you've got an open printer like the P1P, most of these particles will just go away and the lead screws will be cleaner for much longer. I personally really like the enclosures, it just makes the printers much more quiet. Now, something else I want to talk about is aftermarket nozzles. I've seen a ton of reinforced nozzles on the market, and please do not buy those. The nozzles on the P1 and X1, they're supposed to bend in case your printer crashes or whatever. And now if you come along and install one of those reinforced nozzles, your nozzle might not break, but something else definitely will. And that whatever will break is probably going to be much more expensive. Now, next up we've got the PTFE tube on the toolhead, which also has a big issue in my opinion, and that is that it loves to rub on the top tempered glass panel, and it essentially rubs itself to death after a certain amount of hours. Now, I've seen that there is a free printable fix to this problem, so I will link that in the description, but I think this is an issue that just shouldn't exist. Good thing is though, PTFE tubes are pretty cheap, so it's not the biggest issue, but it's still annoying, and it leaves a lot of gunk and residue from the PTFE tube on the tempered glass, which is also kind of hard to get off. Like, it loves to stick to that glass panel. Now, when it comes to the print bed, the X1 comes with the cool plate, and the P1 and P1P come with a PEI bed. The P1S especially comes with this gold plate, and that thing is so awesome. While the cool plate on the other end, I hate that thing. Honestly, for me that thing just had so many issues. I don't like the cool plate at all. The surface finish looks bad. You need glue. It's just not great. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the bed and the bed tramming. My X1 Carbon, back when I bought it, wasn't trammed properly at all. So you've had one part of the bed that was way too close every time, even though it did the automatic bed leveling. There was always one side of the print that was like really squished and the other part wasn't. So that's where the bed tramming comes in. And if you need to tram it just like I did, please print these things right here. These are little bed tramming knobs, and they will make your life much easier, because for some reason the screws are so incredibly hard to turn. It's like punching a nail into a wooden board with your fist. Like, that's what I can compare it to the most. So these things make your life so much easier. They're printed in like 8 minutes. Just a little tip from my side. Now, something else regarding the bed is that it loves to crash into the bottom of the printer. So essentially what happens is, after every print, the bed usually drives down to a certain point, and sometimes I still don't exactly know why, it will drive down completely to the bottom. Now, when you start a new print, the bed usually drives down slightly to allow more room for the tool head. And when the bed is already completely at the bottom, you can probably imagine what happens. And that sound is not nice. I am not entirely sure why that happens or why it drives down this much. It seems to happen randomly on my printers, just something I wanted to note as well. So Bambu, please fix, I guess, would be cool. Probably the most annoying part with these machines, at least for me, is the lack of a crash detection. Now, I know that the A1 and the A1 Mini have a crash detection, so I don't really understand why the X1 and P1 doesn't have it. If you're not a dumbass like me, this doesn't really matter much to you, but if you're a dumbass like me, a functioning crash detection can be really helpful, because a lot of the times I forget to take out a print and then just start a new one, and god, that sounds horrible. It's like listening to Money Machine by 100 gigs on full volume. So yeah, Bambu, please add a functioning crash detection. That would be pretty nice. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the video. I really hope you enjoyed my yapping session. If I forgot anything, let me know down in the comments. You know, if you enjoyed, leave a like, you know, hit that motherfucking bell. Whatever, you know, unsubscribe. But anyways, I really enjoyed making this video. It was a ton of effort. I'm still learning a lot, so yeah. But I'll see you in the next one, so bye bye.